Well, it's a joy to be here on Shelley's birthday, 4th of August 2021. So Shelley's 229 today, and it's, as I say, a complete pleasure to be here. I'm standing in front of Wordsworth Grasmere's very significant and important collection of early editions of Shelley's poems, and also his two very early novels. And the poem I'm going to talk about for a few minutes is Queen Mab, which was an early work of Shelley's. So he's born August the 4th, 1792. He goes to Oxford University and in the autumn of 1810, and is expelled in his second term for refusing to deny the authorship of a pamphlet called The Necessity of Atheism. And over the next year or two, he's working on this poem, Queen Mab, which was printed in 1813 by the publisher Thomas Hookham, but not in fact published, because the publisher was aware that if it did get out into the world, he, the publisher, could get into serious trouble for the views that were expressed in this work. So Wordsworth Grasmere, as I say, has one of these rare first editions of Queen Mab, which I'm holding in front of me here, and a very important poem in that many of Shelley's ideas about society, about nature, human relationships, marriage, are expressed in the poem itself, and also at the end in notes, prose notes. And when he had the book published, he told a friend that he thought that the best way of communicating his radical ideas was to put them, as it were, bury them at the back of the book in note form after the poem itself, and so that anybody reading the whole thing cover to cover would not necessarily be put off by the verse at the start, but once they got buried in the work, they'd find his true views being expressed at the end. So to give you an example, one of the notes does indeed talk about his ideas of religion, and his convictions were atheistical. He's got very challenging views about monarchy and about the institution of marriage. So this really is the young Shelley. He's about 20 when this book is published. He's produced his first significant poem, and although later on he was to distance himself somewhat from the views that he expressed in it, in many ways they go to the heart of what his iconoclastic revolutionary spirit was all about, always questioning the status quo, and always determined to, if he could, go into print to express his views. As I say, this work wasn't published, even though it was printed in 1813, but in 1821, so 200 years ago this year, it was published as a piracy by a piratical publisher, William Clark, and Shelley was somewhat embarrassed that it had got into print, and after it was pirated and went out into the world in Britain, it was also published in America as a piracy, and through the 1820s and 1830s, it got reprinted. So actually, many readers, those interested in Shelley, could get hold of this work in fairly cheap, accessible form. And amongst the Chartists and others who had often views which were out of kilter with the mainstream, it became a very popular and significant work. So that, I hope, gives you some insight into this young poet whose first long poem, as I say, Queen Mab, came out in 1813, but was first published in pirate form 200 years ago in 1821. Thank you.